you're gone. That isn't good. Oh, that's why. Here.
Okay.
There we go. Now we're back. And let me do this, and this, and this, and this. All right. We are ready to go.
All right. Well, welcome back to Not From Boston.
Welcome.
I'm Bennett.
I'm Harry.
Yeah, and we have a lot to talk about today because spring training has sprung. Games are being played.
And the Red Sox are back, baby.
Red Sox are back.
It's the first time I think either of us have had like super intense excitement about the Red Sox in like
I think
almost a decade. Since 18.
Yeah, since 18. That's not God, is that almost
It's
a
almost
decade?
it's 7 years.
It's half
7 years. It's more than half a decade, bro. Like that's and I would even say I guess 19 going into the season we probably had excitement, and then very quickly that excitement was gone.
The fact that like 2018 was almost a decade ago is going to stick with me all day. That's really going to hurt.
Yeah. It's tough.
But yeah, I mean, not only are we excited, but like everyone, like Jeff Passan is writing about the Red Sox and writing about them positively.
Yeah.
For once.
I haven't seen any media literally since beginning of 2019, because I know in 2021 we went into the season thinking this is bad. Like that was post-COVID season, really bad. And the Heim Bloom thing was like, what the hell is going on here? We didn't have like a strong team on paper. I haven't seen a preseason positive prediction since 2019. So this is kind of unbelievable.
Yeah. And, everyone should go read Jeff Passan's piece online. It's on ESPN. It's not behind a paywall, which is nice.
We love that. Can't even read half the shit online anymore.
And he talks about, how the combo of Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell are basically like this second coming, this like holy trinity for the Red Sox, and how the Red Sox have really like innovated their approach to hitting in the age of sabermetrics. So like with analytics and everything, that's really heavily favored pitchers with spin rate and velo and all of these different kind of nerdy kind of methods to kind of make pitching more exact, and hitting has kind of fallen behind on that, and the Red Sox seem to be the ones leading the way to catch up, which is really exciting. I really want to get my hands on the machine they mentioned using in the article, the like I think it's called like the track jack or something. Like it's a machine that basically will replicate like a pitcher's exact movement on the mound and then throw from
their arm slot. Wild.
I want to see that. That's incredible.
Have you seen the TrackMan? There's like a machine. I watched this guy on YouTube. Shout out to the Baseball Bat Bros. Great YouTube channel. The guy just rakes. Like all he does, he picks up like different bats, and he's like, we're gonna try this like whatever Marucci wood bat they came out with, and he just hits like bombs. But he uses a TrackMan, which is similar. It's a little bit different, but it doesn't have like the exact arm slot. But it has like the stadiums on projection, so you can hit at Fenway Park, and it'll tell you like based on your launch angle, like if you hit it over the monster and stuff.
That's pretty
so
cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of hitting it over the monster, the Red Sox had their first exhibition game on I think Saturday.
Mr. Bregman
hit
wherefore art thou?
Yeah, hit one over the Fenway South monster.
We love it. I think it was his first at bat.
Yeah,
we love it.
And then he hit one off the monster today, or in the second at bat today. I was the Red Sox are playing the Tigers, and as of recording, Marcelo Meyer has gone 3 for 3 with a triple, a double, and a home run.
If that kid stays healthy, he's trouble,
dude. Seriously.
How old is he? 22.
He is actually. I have it on my spreadsheet here. He is. Yeah, he's 22.
Wow.
So part of what we're going to talk about today is just how spring training is going so far. And then we realized that in the first 3 episodes, we kind of threw you guys into the deep end with just what's going on in the world of the Red Sox, just going through players and talking about them, realizing that like we knew who we were talking about, but you guys might not. So what we're going to do today, and maybe this will take more than one episode, is we're going to run through the 40-man roster, which basically, so at the big league level, the roster, you can have 25 players on a team, but there's a second roster called the 40-man where you have 15 other players who are in the minor leagues who are eligible to play at the major league level. So we're going to run through that and just kind of loop you guys in on who's on the Red Sox, how they do last year, what do we think of them going into this year, and hopefully that kind of is a nice little refresher course as we kind of run into the season. Also, I just totally forgot, but before we dive into that, a couple weekends ago, I was out with friends at Chi-Chi's in Koreatown.
Sure.
And as we were leaving that night, I'm wearing a Red Sox hat, and as we're leaving, a guy is coming in and he goes, "Hey, are you from Boston?" Like, I'm from Boston. And I go, "No, actually, I'm not from Boston." And I was just going to leave it there. And our friend Jack just goes, "No, but he has a podcast called Not From Boston that you should listen to."
Nice.
And I was just like, oh, what an organic plug.
We love it.
Yeah. I hope that guy's listening. That'd be really cool.
I've been spreading the word. I joined a men's baseball team.
Yeah.
So I got everybody tuning in this week.
We were hitting just the other day.
Yeah, we went out to the cage, which was really nice. It feels so good to get one with a wood bat.
Dude, my hand hurts.
Yeah, the first time I went swinging a couple weeks ago, I was still like marked up on my palm from it. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's like this muscle under my thumb is just driving me crazy.
Your hamate bone. That's what That's what David Ortiz had replaced.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's a big hitter surgery.
Okay. Yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I'm a little bummed my back cracked, but like
it happens. It happens to the best of us.
You know what? I got some really good hits there, which was nice.
Yeah.
That was a fun kind of outing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how are you feeling about spring training so far?
I mean, it looks good. Like I said, I do feel I'm definitely like a sucker for like whatever the media is saying, which is not good. But when I see positive things about the Red Sox, it really brings me back to like high school years where we would go into seasons and I would just be like, fuck yeah. Like, we're going to be good this year. I remember like specifically like weirdly enough, middle school, which were years that were not good for the Red Sox. That was like 08, 09, 9, 10, 10, 11.
Yeah.
But going into the seasons, they were supposed to be good and they would make the playoffs, except for 11, obviously.
Yeah. Well, you got to forget that 08, we got close. We got to
very
game
close.
7.
I know, against Tampa Bay. Yeah. But I remember making roster line, which I still do because I'm a fucking loser. But making lineup cards in my notebook in math class, like, and I remember there was a point where we were going to get Jason Worth when Jason Worth was really good. Yeah. And I remember making a lineup thinking we were going to get Adrian Gonzalez and Jason Worth, not Carl Crawford. And I was like, okay, we're going to get Jason Worth in left field. He's going to hit 25 bombs. We got Adrian Gonzalez. Like, I haven't had excitement watching spring training games and hearing about us in the media like that in a long time. I do think that as I think about it more, I think it could be a toss-up between us and New York for the division. I feel so much more confident watching the team. I think seeing guys pitch, getting to see Crochet. I've been watching YouTube videos too of like just even live batting practice. Like everybody looks locked in. It seems like the team likes each other. It seems like we have sort of champagne problems in the sense of like we've talked about. We have like 5 guys who can play a bunch of positions.
Right.
I am reading that apparently Wilyer Abreu is still on the chopping block.
Actually, he hasn't been to spring training yet.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Well, he's ill, I think. I don't know with what.
But I've been seeing like potentially Detroit. They're looking for a trade. I don't know. That bums me out a little bit. I know he's a good trade piece, but I love me some Wilyer Abreu.
I mean, I think right now, first of all, like Wilyer Abreu, I hope you're doing well, man.
I hope you're good.
Like, speedy recovery and all that. Because he's a cool dude and we need you.
Yeah.
I kind of think if I'm the Red Sox right now, I am shutting the door on any more moves until August.
I would think so.
This is a great team with a lot of great pieces. Like, let's just see how everyone fits together and then worry about moving people when it's the trade deadline. And when, the important thing about the trade deadline is that's when teams overpay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wilyer Abreu, you can, I think, get a lot for him, but you can get a lot more for him on July 31st.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think right now it's just like, let's just hold everybody and do the moving around and the mixing and the matching.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm feeling really good about it. This is making me feel really good about the future of the team, just even beyond the 2025 guys, just seeing guys like Hunter Dobbins pitching and seeing Nick Sogards of the world. And the apparently his name, and I might get this wrong, but I read Jen McCaffrey from The Athletic said that according to him, his name is pronounced Justinton Garcia.
Oh my!
But his name is spelled like I think it's JHO.
I've seen
STYXON, and his nickname on the team is the Password because he
Yes,
looks like
I've
looks like
seen
an
this.
auto-generated password.
I've seen this. That's like the best name in baseball.
That's the-
Yeah, that's so sick.
So the password looks dope.
Yeah.
I really am afraid of like getting his name wrong, so I might just stick to calling him the password.
Him and Big Christmas from Cleveland. Those are the two best nicknames in baseball. John Kenzie Noel. Those are awesome nicknames. And again, that's a funny JHONKEN. I think it's ZY. John Kenzie Noel. Yeah.
But it looks like a team where it's like, man, Chaim Bloom, like, you know, God rest his soul, he's not dead, but you know,
he's
really,
kind of dead. He's in baseball death in St. Louis.
He did his job. He delivered a great farm system. I'm just so excited for not just this year, but like going forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun, 5, 6, 7 years. I think.
I really want to play the Dodgers now in October. Like I really like the more I watch, I'm like, I want a rematch.
We have them in July. We have them at the end of July. At Fenway. Yeah. Which is too bad for us, but
I know.
Probably a good thing for the team.
Yeah. But I don't know. I look forward to that. And it feels like there's just a really big difference. Bregman's been playing a lot at third this week because Rafi is rehabbing his shoulder. I think today was his first day working back in. Yeah,
I've seen some video. Again, I've been keeping up with all the social media footage. He's been taking some grounders at third, but not making the throw.
But you just have the combinations are crazy between like Story and up the middle, like Story and Bregman, obviously, and then
Story and Campbell.
Yeah, Meyer and Bregman, crazy. Meyer and Campbell.
Having Meyer is such a nice, especially because he looks good.
Yeah,
is such a nice like safety net because we don't know what's going to happen with Story.
Right. I also on like a total like superficial level, the big three coming up. There's some handsome boys. Like,
love it.
They're some good looking guys. Also, I really love there's I think no better baseball name than Mookie Betts.
Oh yeah.
But Roman Anthony is
a good
really
one.
Close
That's a
second.
good one.
That's a really good.
That's a good one.
Like that.
Those sound like 1885. Like back when Mookie Betts and Roman Anthony were leading off and hitting second.
Right. So it just like I don't know. There's just a lot of good vibes, man.
Yeah, I think it's a good vibes team. It has the 13 season vibes. Like I think everyone's fun and exciting.
We're younger this time.
Yeah.
Like 13 was just like we were I think a lot older.
It seems to me though that there's almost a we don't give a fuck attitude, and I think that's because even though now like we're talking, I'm sure we'll get more into the passing thing, but like there's some buzz. 6 months ago, we were a 500 team, but like the buzz going into the season was like, can they maybe slip into a third wild card?
Yeah.
So they have like lower pressure. I think they came into camp pre-Bregman signing with lower pressure, and I think everyone feels that, and it's really good to be a good team with low expectations. And there's not low expectations anymore, but I think we started spring training with that. I would have to think that the Yankees have to be feeling like, holy shit, we have to perform this year because we fucked up last year, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think also Juan Carlos Stanton is hurt. To what degree, like, we don't know yet.
Shocker.
I mean, yeah. So it's like, I think it's really, and you see this from like other kind of Yankee fans and sports media. I think you're kind of seeing it from like, Kate Maniscalco, I think that's how you pronounce her name, the Baseball for Baddies lady, where it's like, oh, it's a little concerning that our only, like, other than Aaron Judge, our lineup doesn't have a ton of power. Our second best hitter is like Cody Bellinger, maybe, which like is cool, but it's like it's hard to like put that on your 34-year-old center fielder. Like it's they're definitely, the thing that I think is really interesting about the Yankees and the Red Sox is I think obviously the Yankees window for winning is open because they were just there. Our window I think has opened. But I think our window is going to be open for longer at this point than the Yankees. I think their window is currently a lot shorter just because they don't have the farm system depth that we have. They don't, and their depth on the field is not what we have.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talk about trading for Arenado on their end, which I mean, obviously like we were talking about doing that, so I can't be like, oh, that's so stupid. That's not a bad move at all, but I think it's a band-aid because Arenado is also 34 and carries with him a ton of money. Like what the Yankees need to do is, I think, kind of, I'm not saying trade Aaron Judge because that's dumb and would never ever happen, but the Yankees do need to kind of do, I think in a year or two, they need to do what we kind of did in 2020, which is like start a soft rebuild because I think the well is kind of drying up for that.
Well, that happens. I mean, that happens to a lot. We were talking when we were hitting baseballs about Dave Dombrowski and like, is that an effective method? And I think you'll hear 50-50 yes and no, because Dave Dombrowski has 2 World Series championships and could win a third in Philly. Like, Philly is a strong team and will be for another 3 years. Like, they have a very good team. But I think in general, World Series cycles, you get 5 to 7 years. Yeah. That's the usual cycle. That's the lifespan. We were talking about Kansas City the other night. Kansas City had back-to-back appearances, 1 win. Kansas City is now finally on the mend again. Like, they had about 5, what was 2015 was their last one. So really until about 23, they started slowly picking up again. They haven't been relevant. We've seen this with the Red Sox. We've seen this with the Yankees. The Yankees weren't in the World Series for 15 years. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think the difference between, like, really any of the teams other than us that Dave Dombrowski has been running and the Yankees is that the Yankees are the Yankees.
Yeah, sure.
And, like, the idea of a rebuild is, like, I think unfathomable.
Yeah, I think they hadn't had a losing season at all in like
until
2022. No, they were in 23. The ALCS 23.
Yeah. And that was just like, and then of course the next year they bounced back and they win the World Series. But I think their issues to me, I'm like, oh, this is deeper than just like something that gets fixed in an off season. I think that they have some serious holes. And of course, like I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm not like plugged into really what's going on in Yankee baseball.
It's a Yankees podcast.
Yeah, like I don't know what I don't know, but from the outside, that's kind of my feeling. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to playing them. I mean, they're still going to be good this year. Like they're still going to be
definitely
tough.
Should we jump into this 40 man?
Yeah. So, last night I had to prep this, and it was because my computer is old and shitty, and it gets really slow when I'm on Baseball Reference. So I had to export all of the data. And into like numbers on my Mac, and it wouldn't format correctly, so I had to like manually do it, like manually fix it every time. It drove me up the fucking wall last night.
No bueno.
Yeah, so starting with the 40 man, like we're just gonna start right with our starting 9 guys and catcher Connor Wong.
We've talked about this in this podcast a little bit. I have mixed feelings on Connor Wong. I think he has a good-looking swing. Mm-hmm. He is a good receiver of the ball. I don't think he's a great thrower of the ball behind the dish.
Yeah, I think he defensively is having trouble with framing and with blocking, and I think those are both. I've heard that, of course, he's like been trying to work on that this offseason, which is great.
He's good at receiving. I don't know. The framing thing, I think I've seen glimpses of him do really, really well with that.
Yeah.
I don't like his throw down to second. He hits the one hop a lot, which is fine. Sometimes that's an intentional. I used to catch a little bit, and they would say sometimes, like, depending on where the pitch is, you can zip it and one hop it, but he does it a lot.
The thing that's tricky is, like, with catchers, I think catcher is the position where you are, if you're running a baseball team, you are least concerned with the offensive output of that player. Your priority is defense and whether or not they can work with that pitching staff.
Right.
And I think it's interesting because Connor Wong is kind of he works great with the pitching staff. I don't think his issues are how he calls games, but Connor Wong is like his what he brings to the table primarily is his offense. I mean, last year might have been kind of a big year for him, but he hit 280.
Yeah, he's got a great swing
with a 758 OPS
for a catcher is great.
Yeah, and so like that's really awesome. I kind of hope this year, I wouldn't mind seeing a regression in him offensively if it means that he gets
better defense.
Yeah.
However, we'll get into the backup situation, but yeah,
I
would say like he's a 6.5 out of 10. Like I look at him as like he'll be effective. Catcher is not going to be our strong suit. I also feel like there's something that you can't explain about pitching, but sometimes catchers fill you with confidence. So when I was in high school, when I would pitch, our catcher was this guy, James Levenberg. And like, I knew that I could throw whatever and he would gobble it up. Yeah. Like I just had so much confidence. I was like, I can throw a fucking slider 2 inches in front of the plate and try to get the guy to chase and he's going to eat it up. Like I feel so confident. I don't know if it's like his build. Wong's kind of a skinny guy for a catcher.
Yeah, I think he's bulked up. Like everyone's
he's
bulked up this year.
He's definitely bulked up, yeah. But even that, like when I think about like Vasquez or like, I don't know, those are bigger guys. It almost looks easier to throw to them. You know.
Now we're talking about it. It reminds me. I was reading The Athletic this morning. They did a piece on Connor Wong. Mm-hmm. He came into camp last year weighing 185.
Oh my god,
which is my weight.
Yeah,
which is
that's
crazy.
That's like not big.
He came in this year weighing 205.
Wow, what's his height? How tall is he?
He's like 6 something, I think.
Bro, he's like if you're like 6 feet 185, that's like
He was thin.
that's lean. Yeah.
But
Wow.
so like I'm like, oh, you put on 20 pounds at least like sometime between last spring
That's
and now.
good.
Like that's
yeah,
good.
That's good news.
Moving to first base.
This is-
Tristan Casas.
I have pretty high expectations. I was glad we didn't trade him.
I'm so glad. I don't think we would have gotten good stuff for him at this point.
I mean, it'll be interesting with the Guerrero stuff, like to see if that ends up happening at some
Yeah.
point. But I think Casas is interesting because he's had injury problems. He's sort of like a weirdly not as well liked figure with the Red Sox, like, which is strange.
I think that's more of a fan thing.
It is.
I think it's more of like a.
It's
like
not a team thing.
I think it's a certain subset of like Boston
it's
fans.
It's like hardcore Boston.
The old men.
Yeah, because he like sunbathes in the outfield and paints his nails, but like I paint my
Yeah.
nails sometimes and I walk around with my shirt off and it feels great because it's sunny outside. So why the fuck not?
Right.
I'm expecting a lot from Casas. I look at him as someone who like the power numbers are going to be our barometer of how well he's doing.
Yeah.
I would love to see a 30 home run year. I would love to see, a close to 800 OPS, a slugging percentage in the mid fours. Like that's what we're looking for.
So it's funny that you say all of that because Casas had this rib injury last year and he played in 63 games. And in those 63 games, he hit 13 home runs. He had a slugging of 462.
Great.
And an OPS of 800.
So he would be on pace to what's 13 homers you said?
Yeah.
In 63 games.
Yeah.
So that's it's a little more than a third of the season. So he probably hit like 33, 34. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he can stay healthy, and I really hope he does, I think we could see not just 30 home runs. I think he does know that he needs to kind of step it up and prove that he's worth keeping if he wants to be kept.
Yeah, definitely.
I really liked what he said during Fenway Fest, which is like he wants his jersey to have 6 letters on them, whether it's Red Sox or Boston.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's cool.
That's so.
No, I like him though. I have high expectations. I think that, the success of the team, it's not contingent on him, but he's going to be a big part of it. Like you need offensive output from your first baseman.
Yeah.
You have got to have offensive output from your first baseman. That's not a position that and I played mainly first base and was like a good hitter, very defensive specialist at first base. Like it's a position that I knew in high school, for example. Like I'm never going to get all met or anything because the guys that I'm competing against are hitting fucking 15 home runs in 20 games.
It's also tough just because, at least currently in Major League Baseball, first basemen aren't valued as highly as they were. In fact, I think they're pretty undervalued. I mean, Alonso, he got paid, but he didn't get paid a lot. I think Guerrero will reset that market probably when he gets paid a huge amount of money. But even still, if I'm Casas, I'm doing whatever I can to increase my value.
Certainly.
To the Red Sox, or whether they trade me or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Second base, I have a few second basemen listed in this portion just because that job.
There's a lot. It's in the air.
So just starting with Vaughn Grissom, who we've talked a lot about on this pod, so we probably don't need to talk too much here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the jury's out because he's so young. I think he's really good. I do think the jury's kind of out, though. I think we are not really going to know until we see him get 60 major league at-bats, what we're looking at. Yeah. But I definitely think he has a huge upside. I think he might have more upside than any of the rookies that we have coming up. I think he has a huge ceiling.
I mean, I would definitely, I think, play him before those guys because we just don't have the pressure to bring those guys up now.
Yeah. I do think he's a massive ceiling, though.
I do, yeah. And I think he's really hungry to prove himself because last year he was really hurt.
He came in the Chris Sale trade, right?
He did.
Yeah.
And so, I think he's really hungry for it, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys this year are really hungry, so hopefully that pushes them in the right direction.
For sure.
But also at second base, and I'm hearing a lot about this guy, David Hamilton.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard his name come up quite a bit too.
Yeah, and you look at him last season, he actually had a good year.
Everybody keeps saying that he's the one, if anything, that we should put at the front of the line, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I saw him swing it a few times, but I haven't gone into the David Hamilton rabbit holes that I go in with other players yet. I haven't looked at his minor league stats. I haven't gone on his baseball reference page and his analytics and everything. He looks like a ball player. I mean, I'm happy to say that. I think he's probably not going to be he's probably not going to be a shoo-in for that position.
I think there are two things that really stand out to me. One, I mean, we both hate this number, but his WAR on Baseball Reference is 2.6.
Wow.
And the second thing that really stands out to me, he stole 33 bases.
Yeah, he's a speedster. Bro, what's the deal with everyone named Hamilton being fast? Who was that guy?
Billy Hamilton?
The other Billy Hamilton, yeah. That guy was fucking fast. Yeah. Holy shit.
So I think he also did make a lot of improvements when he had to kind of on the fly figure out second base last year.
Yeah, because he's not a second baseman.
He's like a middle infielder.
I thought he was a shortstop, like primarily a shortstop.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
It is different. I play second. Well, I can't play shortstop for shit, but I'm also not a major leaguer, so.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's fair. I think short. I think you do have like more ground to cover than.
Yeah, and you have a longer throw, and there's more cut. Like, you have to protect the bag more. Yeah, it's a harder position, I think.
Yeah, but the guy who's currently sitting at the front of the line for second base is Alex Bregman.
Yeah, and let's get into it because we talked about the trade, but not as much about him particularly.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm excited. Bregman had kind of a down year last year. And when I say kind of a down year, I mean he still hit 26 home runs, drove in 75 runs.
And he was hurt for some of the year, too.
He was hurt for some of the year. He had a 768 OPS.
Which is okay, yeah. For his standards, I think that's okay.
But he also won a Gold Glove at third base.
Yeah.
So he's well known to be an elite defender.
Yeah, that's where I was going to start the conversation. I have a suspicion that he's going to do great offensively. I think we're already seeing it in spring training. Like, he's built for Fenway. And his OPS, I think he has the highest OPS at Fenway out of like any player in the last 20 years.
Who I think within like 75 plate appearances.
Yeah, like I saw that on MLB Network. I was like, what the fuck? He's like a 960 OPS at Fenway, which is nuts. So that's all well and good. I think we're going to get a Trevor Story effect, not in the injury way. Please.
Don't put that
put
that out there.
Remember when Trevor Story came the year we still had Bogarts, 22, and he was playing second base, and he was hitting pretty well. Like, he kind of started slow and then picked it up, but his defensive play was so good. I remember thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, this guy is covering so much ground. He looks like fucking Prime Altuve out there. Like, he was like, and I think we're going to see that with Bregman. I think the offensive numbers are going to be really good. I think he's built for Fenway. But I think we're going to be talking at the end of the season, like, how many runs did that guy save us at second base? Like, it's going to be like a Pedroia situation.
Yeah, I think that's right. I really am wary of having high expectations for anybody because, like, it's really easy to be disappointed.
So many things can fall off. Yeah,
so many things can happen. But I do think, like, everybody's healthy. He has a great year. I think Fenway, is a ballpark that really benefits him just with that short left field.
And he's a pole hitter. I mean, he's a dead pole hitter.
He's a pole hitter. He hits but he gives the ball, air.
Yeah. Launch angle, as the kids say.
I think he is gonna beat the shit out of the Green Monster.
Yeah.
I think, he had 30 doubles last year. And I think that number is, there's no way that the number of doubles he hits this year is lower than that, or even in the 30s. I think he hits like
40 something. You know how I feel about doubles. That's my favorite. That's my favorite stat.
I mean, also I guess doubles also some really long singles because it's Fenway.
Yeah, but he's not slow. I mean, he's not like Wheels, but he's not slow. Like, I think he can leg out a fly ball that clips the monster for two.
Yeah.
Because I remember JD Martinez, bro. He'd be hitting smokes off the thing and getting a single out of it.
I wasn't even gonna mention JD. I was gonna say the 2021 wildcard game where Juan Carlos Stanton hit the
ball.
My
god!
And Matt Vasgersian is
it's gone. Yeah. He said what was the thing he said? He was like, he got another one. That's what he said. He got another one. Hit the monster. It's a single. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have high expectations in the sense that I'm a big defensive guy. Yeah. I love good defensive baseball teams, and we see that. Look at the Yankees last year. Like, you can't win with a shitty defensive team.
Right.
If you make the fundamental plays and you have a couple guys who can do extraordinary things, it goes a long way. I expect defensively extraordinary things from him. I think he'll hit what we think he'll hit, and it'll be good.
Yeah. I think that, and I think he's really happy to be here. I think he's really happy to be working with Cora.
Certainly.
I do think that there will be... How many games do you think he'll get at third? Because he's going to get games at third.
110.
You think he's going to play 110 games out of the season?
I'm sorry. I thought you said it's second.
No.
At third, he's going to play primarily at second. I think he's going to get
Okay.
110 to 115 games at second.
Okay.
I think he'll play 40-ish games at third, and I think we'll see maybe he'll slide in at DH every now and again.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll have a couple days off. Like, he'll probably play like 150 games, and I think 3/4 of them will be at second base.
Okay. Yeah, because I do think he'll play third at some point. It's just a matter
Definitely.
of like how much.
I would only see like a month worth of games or a month and a half worth of games.
Yeah. Moving to short,
Trevor
Story. I really, really, really want this guy to have a good year.
Yeah.
I just want it for him because I feel
I
bad.
really like Trevor Story a lot. And I remember when we signed him and the things he said, all the right things. I really like him. I think he's a leader. I think he's a good teammate. I think guys, like, he had that camp where he invited half the team out. I think guys like him.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a sucker for good defense. That guy plays in the field like the way Brooks Robinson played third. He's an excellent defender.
It's awesome.
He's just a fundamental ball player. I agree with you, man. I really want him to have a good year. And a good year for him can be, can you get 120 games of productive offensive ball out of him?
Yeah. I mean, offensively last year, he only played 30 games, but he hit 255.
Yeah.
Which is like not bad. He had an OPS of 733.
Yeah, I think 22 his first year, he was kind of in that range, like 750-ish.
It just sucks because I think his injuries, a lot of them have been just total freak accidents. I mean, like obviously, like we were at the Angel game where he separates his shoulder, and like that was just like him diving for a ball that any shortstop would have done the same thing.
Which also, let me just add, no other shortstop in baseball is getting to that ball.
Right. He knocked it down.
We were literally, I remember we were sitting next to him, we were like, damn, like before we realized he was hurt, we were like, oh shit. Like,
he had made other plays in that game where you're like, oh my God.
He's an amazing, amazing defensive player.
Yeah. I think if he hadn't hurt his shoulder on that play, he would have had that ball, he would have thrown it, and we would have gotten the out. Like, he's remarkable, and I really like to wish him like all of the best.
But I don't think we're going to see, he's not going to be like an everyday. He's another one where I could actually see Cora slipping him in at DH every now and again. Like, take a couple days off, just swing the bat. Don't risk your injury.
Well, I think compared to like last year in 2023, where we didn't really have the depth to not have him at short, I think this year we do. Yeah. And like in the form of Bregman, or if Meyer comes up, or Hamilton, or
because that's another, just real quick, Bregman is a badass shortstop too. His LSU years, that fool he was crazy at short.
So I mean, I think with that in mind, like I don't think there's as much pressure for him to be every day. Yeah, I think he'll want to be, but he also, I think, knows that he can't test himself like that. Like, he can't risk it. Third base, Rafi Devers.
I mean, again, I think we have a very clear picture of what he's going to give us offensively, and it's good. Yeah. It's really good. Like, he's a 30 home run guy plus. He's an 850 plus OPS guy. He's going to get on base. He's going to hit a lot of doubles, which, again, love doubles. He hits the ball. Honestly, like, even just from a pure, like, batting average, if anybody's still, I'm a big batting average guy too, but, like, he's kind of consistently 280 to 290, hits 30 home runs. Like, he's a very consistent offensive player. He's a threat in the lineup. I think surrounded by Bregman, and if Story's healthy and hitting well, like, that's huge. Yeah. He's a huge liability at third base. I think we'd be lying if we didn't say that. And that's not a discussion that we're going to have because of what's happened recently, but like, he is a liability at third base.
Although I just saw, so Chris Cotillo got some quotes from him, I think yesterday. Shout out Chris Cotillo, because I do love that guy. Rafi had some comments, and he was like, I mean, the summary of it is basically like, the number one goal for me and for the team is to win. Yeah. I did see that. And I'm like, okay, see, that's what you should have said the first time. I know. Like, it's not like, no, I play this. It's like, yo, we're trying to win a fucking World Series championship. Yeah. Like, that's what I want to hear. And like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'm sure he'll like DH, and he'll be like, man, I don't want to DH, but like, that's what we're here to win. So, and it's like, dude, I was just talking to one of my buddies about this. It's a team sport. Yeah. This is a team sport. And sometimes you have to do shit that you don't want to do to be on a team. Like, I don't think he's not going to play third. Like I said, I think we'll see 120 games of him at third base. I don't think Bregman's going to become the everyday third baseman,
But sometimes he's going to DH. Sometimes he's not going to play. Like, that's what being on a team is. Right. I don't think anyone is, unless you're fucking prime Barry Bonds hitting 70 home runs a season, which is not going to ever happen again because guys aren't sticking fucking human growth hormone into their veins anymore, hopefully. You know, you got to do what you got to do for the team. It's part of the game.
Yeah, I do wonder if like Rafi will feel more comfortable and a little more secure having someone like Trevor Story at short to take the pressure off.
I would think so.
He doesn't have to like have the range. I just worry about like,
you know, like Bobby Dahlbeck at short, man.
I just worry because like, you know, I mean, maybe Rafi hurt his shoulder hitting, but I think it's more likely that he hurt it playing third.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is for me. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's my main thing about him playing third is
right.
Like, I want to minimize his risk of injury.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I want from him this year, like the thing I'm looking for, I would love to see is for him to hit 100, drive in 100
runs. Sure.
He drove in 83 last year, and I'm like, you're the guy in our lineup who's got to drive in 100.
He's done that once, right?
2019.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that was probably his best offensive year.
Yeah. Which is like too bad because it was 2019, but
yeah.
Whatever. All right, the outfield, Jarren Duran.
Such an interesting player.
Such a good last year.
Yeah, he's an interesting player. Like, we talked about this a little bit. Do we expect more or less from him? I don't know, because it's his first. He came up in 21 was the first time we saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his first 3 years were like really underwhelming, and like a lot of people didn't like him, myself included. I was like, this guy's not hustling after the ball. And honestly, I was being a dick about it. I was like, oh my God, I hate this fucking dude. Like, he doesn't run after the ball. And now we know what we know. He's dealing with a lot of like mental stuff and being someone who deals with a lot of mental stuff myself. I totally get it. It's really, really difficult. I have, other than the incident with the word that should not be used, I like Jarren Duran. I actually am just going to say I think he'll probably be around the same. That's kind of what I think. I don't think he's going to exceed that, but he's fast. He hit like a fuck ton of doubles and triples last year.
He hit
like 46 doubles.
48 doubles. 14 triples.
Bro, like I think he will continue to do that.
I think the thing is and like he was like an 8.7 WAR player. Like
that's insane.
He was 8th in MVP voting.
That's insane.
So here's the thing. I kind of agree. I think what will happen is like there will be a regression, but what it'll be is like he'll hit 42 doubles.
Yeah.
And he'll hit like maybe like 11 triples.
Yeah.
And then people on Twitter will be like, see, he's washed.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it. And I'll be like, you should fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's like if Judge hit, he broke the home run record and the next year he hit 59. It's like, that's still a fuck ton of home runs.
Yeah.
Like,
so I think Jarren Duran will produce.
I think he'll be good.
Yeah.
Defensively, I could certainly see him slipping around the outfield a little bit.
He's gonna be moving around, I think. But I think he's not gonna get a ton in center because that belongs now to Ceddanne Rafaela.
Yeah, who's interesting too.
Yeah, and I've spoken here before about like that I think that Duran should be the starting center fielder and that Rafaela should be in a kind of super utility role. Mm-hmm. And then I watched our first game on Saturday and I was like, oh no, I'm wrong. Yeah. We should keep that glove in the outfield at all times.
I agree.
He's fantastic defensively. I almost like care less about his numbers, but so the thing that really like stuck out about his offense last year that was disappointing is he had a 274 on base percentage.
Yeah, he swings and misses a lot.
So far in the spring training games, he's looking better.
Yeah, he's taking some walks, which is nice.
That was remarkable. I was like, oh, he can do that. He's changed his stance a little bit. His hands are a little lower. He's got a step now instead of like a
I think he was at the
tap.
story. I think he was at the story camp. Yeah.
But yeah, he does a leg kick now instead of a toe tap, which I think Duran also similarly made that.
I'm a big leg kick guy. I was a nose stride hitter for a long time, and I switched to a leg kick. It really helps the timing a lot.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the thing about like toe tapping, at least, and again, like I am so far from being a major league hitter, but when I've tried doing a toe tap, the thing I notice is that like it's really easy for me to roll my front foot over on itself.
I find it hard to time with like no stride or toe taps. I like a leg kick.
I think I remember, like, because we both grew up in DC. I remember Ryan Zimmerman having just the biggest kick in the world.
That's maybe a little aggressive.
It's like, I don't know, but
A-Rod too, man. A-Rod had a crazy leg kick.
But I think, like, it's a good way because it is, like, being in the box, it is all about rhythm and timing. And I think that that's a really good way to kind of, like, one of those ways to kind of give yourself, like, a beat to kind of know to hit and when to hit it at all times.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I actually expect... So actually, I'm curious about what you think of this. Jonathan Papelbon, he says that Ceddanne Rafaela will win the MVP award this year.
No. Let's just put that out. That's like homerism. I mean, that's silly. Like, look, he's really good, and if he does, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. Right. But like, there's a lot of other players that exist that are like, you could put ahead of him in that. I don't know. That just seems like a little bit of a clickbait.
I could see him taking a big step like Duran took last year.
Yeah, I could see him be, top 15 vote kind of thing. Like a couple guys will vote for him for MVP, but he's not going to win MVP.
Okay, so because he does have pop. Like his slug was 390. He hit 15 home runs. He drove in 75 runs.
Yeah, no, he's a really good player.
I'm just saying, like, you add in the ability to, like, the plate discipline to that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, that does kind of open the door to, like, 8 or 9 more homers.
Definitely.
Probably, like, at least.
But, like, guys who are winning MVP, who are the last 3 AL MVPs?
Yeah, that's Judge. I think it's
Judge again. And who was before him? Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Did he win it? There was a year where, like, Marcus Semien and Guerrero and fucking Ohtani.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he was in the AL.
Ohtani. Okay, dude. So, like, Ohtani, Judge, one of Judge's years being breaking the home run record.
Okay,
like,
so maybe...
That's egregious. But he could be, like, I would say, like, maybe shooing for an all-star start.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there.
I think that's totally possible. Our outfield's just awesome.
We have a really good, diverse outfield. Even our backups are good.
Yeah. And then we have Wilyer Abreu.
I've talked about him at length. I love Wilyer Abreu. He might not be here come trade deadline, but I am a huge fan. I love his swing. I love his defense.
I think if he had a 781 OPS.
He can boost that, I think.
I wonder if that makes him more likely to be traded if he gets better.
No, I think will probably end up getting traded, but I really like him. And again, he's another guy that had a few swing and miss problems that I think he's worked on.
Yeah.
I'm a big Wilyer Abreu guy.
But he also, he won a Gold Glove for right field, and playing right field at Fenway is notoriously difficult.
Yeah.
So, I do think, like, there is a bit of, like, all this talk about trading him. I'm like, ooh, if we're going to give up that caliber of a defender.
Also, though, let me just say, sorry to cut you off. If we're 15 games over 500 at the deadline, he's not going anywhere. If he's playing every game, they're not going to trade him, I don't think.
No, I think that's when you do trade him.
I would be, if he's like really productive in the lineup and is like a significant contributor and on a winning team, a fighting for first place team. I guess, we look at Nomar 04, but like,
I think when you have I think if the Red Sox are in a position where they have enough of a cushion where it is like maybe not 15 games, but like 7 or 8, I think that's when you get more comfortable with bringing in some of those prospects like Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell, whereas like if it's tighter, it's harder to shake things up without running the risk of slipping. I don't know, but I definitely however long we have Abreu for this season,
I'm happy.
I expect him to do really, really well. And then maybe not my least favorite player, but like the player I'm like most kind of frustrated with for reasons that are out of his control is Masataka Yoshida.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
His contract is rough for us. He's a great hitter.
And people like him. He's like a fan favorite. Yeah.
But just a really kind of difficult in this roster configuration does kind of plug up the works because he's another left-handed hitter. Which we should say, like, the only Connor Wong, Vaughn Grissom, Bregman, Story, and Rafaela are the only people we've mentioned so far. That's 5 players who are right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Everyone else has been a lefty. So I at the same time, he is a really good bat.
Yeah, I think he's a good bat. I wouldn't say really good. I think he's like a very serviceable major league hitter. And that's cool.
He hit 280.
Yeah, Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think again, like, it's like we're talking about with first base, like, the guy that's going to be your DH.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's different for each team. I think the Red Sox historically have had good DHs, right? Like, we had David Ortiz for a long time. We had JD Martinez for a long time. Like, we've had guys that are the best offensive output players on the team in the DH slot. So we've been a little spoiled, because I know a lot of other teams prior to the switch, AL teams and now just teams in general, like, oh yeah, this guy, like, he can kind of hit, and we'll just stick him in the lineup at DH and hit him 7th. Like, to me, the DH, I value every position for what it's supposed to be. Like, the DH is a designated hitter. I want a fucking hitter. Mm-hmm. And so I think Yoshida is kind of like slightly below the margins of like what you would expect offensively from a DH. However, that doesn't mean he's a bad player. I think he's a really good player. I just think if you're a left or right fielder and you're hitting 280 and like, what did he hit, like 15 homers? Like, he's kind of...
He hit 10 last year.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, cool. Like, he's a decent enough corner outfielder. He gets the job done. But if you have a designated hitter slot, I mean, not everybody has the opportunity to use that slot with someone who can hit 30 ding-dongs, but, you know, I don't know.
So those are all of our guys who could potentially be our starters.
Starters, yeah.
Our bench, let's just go through these guys really quick.
Sure.
Carlos Narvaez is a catcher.
So he's really interesting because he's so good defensively.
He's so good defensively, but
he can't hit. So he'll be a platoon. I think he'll play a lot, but like Wong will be the starter.
Yeah. Also a catcher, Blake Sabol.
Yeah. I would again be lying if I knew a ton about him.
So he only played 11 games last year.
I remember him,
but he hit .313.
Love it.
Which is interesting. I mean, like, again, 11 games is like not a huge
sample size. Yeah,
38 plate appearances.
Sure.
I think he'll just be minor league depth.
Yeah.
Romy Gonzalez.
Interesting player.
Interesting guy. We fleeced the White Sox.
Yeah, we did.
Because they put him on waivers last year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I can't believe
one of the most poorly run organizations in baseball.
Just like,
I mean, he'll get time for sure.
Yeah, totally.
He'll definitely get time.
He's a great utility guy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Where do you think primarily he'll play? He plays like a bunch of different positions.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he spent a lot of time last year in the middle infield. Yeah. He got some reps at first base. I'd be curious to see if they kind of like expand that for him. He also got some outfield time.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that he'll just go, like, he'll be a guy that we kind of go to when a guy needs a day off.
He's going to be a guy that ends up playing 100 games, but like he'll play like a couple innings of each game. Like, you know,
he played 89 games last year.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, that's serious, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, he did, you know, pretty well. His OPS was 723.
It's fine.
So, yeah.
That's the kind of thing, like, those are good numbers for a utility guy.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then he was in the big leagues for just, I think 31 games, but Nick Sogard.
Oh, yeah. I like Nick Sogard.
Really rare thing these days. He's a switch hitter.
Yeah. I like Nick Sogard.
Yeah.
And I value, you're right. You don't see that too much anymore. A lot of guys are switch hitters, but they're told to stick to one side.
Yeah, because analytics ruins the fun
of
it.
Sucks, bro. That shit's stupid.
Yeah. But
he's a fun player.
Yeah. And then moving to, we haven't talked about him at all this on this podcast yet. Rob Refsnyder.
Dude, I love Rob Refsnyder.
I can't believe we haven't talked about Rob Refsnyder.
You know why I love Rob Refsnyder? I love college baseball too. Okay. I love college baseball.
Yeah.
And I remember, it must have been like 2011 or 2012. He was on Arizona. And he used to wear goggles, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the College World Series. And I think they won the College World Series. And he was like the unsung hero. Like, he was hitting like 5th or 6th in the lineup. He wasn't like the guy.
Yeah.
But he must have had like 12 hits in that College World Series. I think he hit a couple home runs, but I just remember his name.
What bat was he using, I wonder?
Oh, it must have been some like, you know, TPX, BESR.
Yeah.
But he was like a dog in college. And I remember watching him, and like they were saying like, this guy's swing is really, really good. It's like major league ready. And we ended up getting him a few years ago, and I was like, oh shit, Rob Refsnyder. I like him, man. I like seeing guys kind of have to claw their way up, and he's been on the team for like 4 years now.
He's kind of hopped around.
He's been on the Yankees before. Yeah, he's been around.
I think he really I think Fenway has done him some favors.
Yeah.
He also mashes against left-handed pitchers, which is huge. I mean, just looking at his, home run, 10 home runs isn't...
He has a lot of power, though. I've seen him nuke a couple. He has a lot of power.
And he played 108 games, but his slash line, batting average is 280. On base is 349.
Mm-hmm.
Slugging is 415, and his wait, is that the right? No, I'm looking at the wrong guy. Sorry, that was looking at Masataka Yoshida. That was wrong. Sorry. Rob Refsnyder hit 283, 359, 471, and his OPS was 830.
Bro, that's really... Can you do me a favor? Can you look him up on Baseball Reference real quick and just... do you have the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Just tell me what his... How many seasons has he played in Major League Baseball? Because he had a year where he was like just in the minors, like in the middle of his career. Is this his 10th year?
This will be his 10th year.
Oh, yeah. I hope he gets the 10-year service time, dude. I love when players hit that, and I love Rob Refsnyder.
He has played for the Yankees, the Blue Jays,
yeah,
the Rays.
Yes, he's like an AL East. He's like Steve Pearce.
Texas and Minnesota.
Yeah, he's like Steve Pearce.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I hope he gets the 10-year service time. That's a big deal that people don't talk about. If you're in Major League Baseball, and it's not like, did you play 10 years? If you've been on an active roster for 10 years, you get a pension from Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And they, like, Christian Vasquez just got it last year. And that's a big deal. To me, that's like, if you're a player like that, like, you're not ever going to be in a Hall of Fame conversation at all. But if you hit the 10-year service time, you're set for life.
Yeah. So last year, the last 2 years in Boston have been the longest seasons, where he's played 89 and 93 games.
Yeah.
He's never played... Before that, he hadn't played more than 58 games.
As long as he's been rostered for, I think, like, the whole season. So as long as he was... Excuse me, as long as he was on the, I don't know if it's a 40-man or the 25, 26, yeah.
40-man now.
So I think he'll get it. That's great, man. I love to see that.
Yeah. And then the last guy who's on the 40-man for hitters is the Password.
Aha.
Which he doesn't have any major league numbers, but
he's supposed to be super good, though.
I pulled up his minor league numbers.
Yeah.
He tore through AA and...
He's also like 22 or 23, right?
He is 22 now.
Yeah, he's young.
So last year he hit 23 home runs, drove in 66.
Sick.
23 home runs, drove in 66 runs.
He's a beast.
286 batting average, 892 OPS.
Love it.
He's got to do AAA, I think, still, but
yeah.
I'd love to see where that goes. And
yeah.
And then none of the big three are on the 40-man.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is really interesting because we're gonna have to move some guys off of the 40-man.
It's a service time thing for sure.
It's a service time thing, but also it's just like, it's interesting because they're gonna be on it this year at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about the big three?
Sure.
And how they did this? Okay,
let's do it.
So we'll start with Christian Campbell, who is like second baseman, outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
He's 22. He's our comp pick for when we lost Andrew Bogaerts.
Yeah.
This past year he played high A, double A, and triple A baseball.
Yeah, he had a bit of a Juan Soto rise. He just flew through.
Tore through, and in that combined 115 games, he had 20 home runs, drove in 77 runs, and he hit 330.
Yeah, that's insane.
He hit 330. He got on base 44% of the time, 558 slug, 997 OPS.
That's someone you have to get up to your major league roster.
That is, the thing is, like, I just feel like he needs a few more games in AAA just to kind of see what's up, because that is a really fast trajectory through 3 levels of baseball in a year.
Yeah.
But I am, like, nonetheless, if those numbers are consistent, oh my God. Like, that is
sick. Yeah, he's a dog.
Unbelievable. Marcelo Meyer has been kind of in our system for a little longer. He's younger than Campbell. He's turning 22. He only played in AA last year because he got hurt when they got promoted to AAA. And in 77 games, he didn't hit a ton of home runs. He only hit 8 home runs, but he hit 307 with a 370 on base and a 480 slug. Yeah. So still an 850 OPS. Those are good numbers.
He just gets injured.
He gets injured, and if he can stay healthy, I mean, that is an elite. From what it looks like, it's like an elite contact bat, which is
totally
rare in baseball again these days.
Yeah,
but
everybody's
very
obsessed with
welcome.
launch angle, but guys who get on base are more important in my opinion.
And then lastly, the number one prospect in baseball, because it's not Roki Sasaki. He's played professional baseball, just not in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's insane to call him a prospect. Roman Anthony.
Yeah, who I think is, of the three, highest ceiling, most likely to be a huge star. 20
years old.
Crazy.
Yeah, last year, 119 games, he hit 18 home runs. And
yeah, it's crazy.
He had a 291 batting average and an OPS of 894.
Yeah, which is insane. What was the highest level he played? AAA?
He got to AAA. Yeah. He played, I think, like a pretty even split last year between AA and AAA.
He's going to get rostered like halfway through the season.
Yeah.
That's totally a service time thing, I think.
Yeah. I can't wait for him. I think that he is gonna everyone I've kind of read, like, who's talked to him, from whether it's like been someone in the Red Sox organization or a reporter, everyone's been like, this guy has got it. He's got this, like, what it takes to be a major leaguer. He's also mature beyond his years. Like, he's gonna make waves.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And those are our hitters on the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good crop. And I think it's a mixture of young and like some veteran leadership, which is really important. I think the starting nine is so strong. If everyone puts up their fair share, that's a serious lineup.
Yeah.
That's a serious, like, we're talking 7, 8, 9 are guys that pitchers don't want to throw fastballs to.
Yeah. And then when it comes to, like, thinking ahead, I'm like, I don't even know who we would add. Like, I don't know who I would want to add. No,
this is a great team. It's it's a well-rounded team. Like, obviously you're like, oh yeah, bro, if we could have Aaron Judge, like, yeah, but like,
yeah,
from who's available, the only thing I would say is it would have been sick to have Teoscar Hernandez.
It would have, but then I don't think we get Bregman.
Probably not.
And then I think you have to move, like, some combo of
but just in imagining a season in which, or a world in which you could have both Bregman and Teoscar, having Teoscar would be sick. He's such an underrated player. He's so sick.
Also mashes at Fenway Park.
Yeah, he's so tight, dude. I love it. I'm glad he didn't go to the Blue Jays.
No, that would have been
awful.
Yeah,
he kills us.
He gone back to the Blue Jays, right? He started there.
Yeah, they were really in on him.
Yeah, but yeah. Do you want to talk about our rotation?
Let's do our starting 5, and then we'll next week we'll jump into the
yeah, I think that sounds good.
Let's do that.
Also, we don't have a starting 5, we have a starting 6.
Starting 6.
Yeah.
Injuries, but yeah. Let's go through it.
Yeah. So, top of the rotation, Garrett Crochet.
I mean, he's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so we traded for him from the White Sox this winter. He was really, like, one of the only good pieces of that White Sox team.
Yeah.
Despite, I don't know, people don't care about win-loss records anymore.
Yeah, he won.
But he was 6-12.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not great. But he, that's the only bad thing about his stats, really. I mean,
it's impossible to win when your team doesn't score runs. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he had a 3.58 ERA. He struck out 209 guys.
Yeah. I love Garrett Crochet, and it's good to have a good lefty.
Yeah, I also think, like, the Red Sox, their pitching philosophy, they're big on strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a strikeouts per 9 rate of 13. So, like,
strong.
Yeah. And he's got a good pitch mix. I mean, it's interesting. Like, he has, what does he have? He has a four seam, a cutter, a sweeper, and a change, and a sinker, which is interesting because it's like, what is, like, actually, I was thinking of asking you this because you probably know the answer. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between having between a cutter and a sinker? Like, why would you have both pitches?
Cutter moves left to right, or
like
right
if
to
you're
left.
Like if you're a righty.
So if you're a righty, cutter moves to the left, right to left.
Oh, so it moves toward my glove arm.
Yeah. Okay. So if you watch Kenley,
mm-hmm.
Wait, am I saying that right? Right to left. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. So if you watch Kenley, like, the ball cuts into the batter a little bit. So that's why Rivera was, like, breaking so many bats. Like, Rivera's fastball would, like, cut in on lefties. It would cut in toward the hands, and on righties it would cut out toward the barrel, and they would just crack the bat.
And then
sinker dive.
Sinkers dive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's interesting. He also rarely uses his sinker. Last year he threw it 2% of the time.
Yeah.
I do kind of wonder if, with Andrew Bailey kind of working with him, like, if we start to see more of the changeup and the sinker because of his two least popular pitches.
Yeah.
But either way, I think even if he changes nothing, I think he's still going to be nasty.
Yeah, he's great.
second is my favorite guy, Walker
Buehler. Yeah, I'm really excited about him. I'm excited to see some big heat.
Yeah, he had a really rough regular season coming back from Tommy John, but he's been a Cy Young contender, I think, more than once.
And he was excellent in the postseason. I cannot wait for him. He is a dog. Yeah, I love Walker Buehler. I think he's a competitor. Like he's got his tight pants. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, like, I think it was 22, 23, one of those 2 years. He was wearing those super tight pants.
Yeah.
And someone asked him, like, what does it help you pitch when you wear your pants really tight? And he was like, I'm not answering that fucking question. It was funny as hell. I love Walker Buehler. He's another guy, too. I really do think the Dodgers have such a good organization because a lot of those players that come out of that, go to other teams, they're great teammates. He just gives me the vibe that, like, he fucks with everybody. Like, everybody loves him. He's cool.
Yeah.
I think he'll get along with Cora. I think he'll get along with everybody else. And, yeah, he's a dog, man. Like, he wants to win games. He's a 2-time World Series champion.
That's true. So,
and that goes a long way. You have a guy that's like, yo, I know what the fuck it takes,
Yeah. I think this is like so unrelated to his quality as a pitcher, but when he signed with us, he asked about getting number 21 on his jersey, and like that was Clemens' number, and the Red Sox were like, we don't really want to give that out, and I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, retire it or just like move on.
Yeah, it's really weird. They're in that gray. Is that like a steroids thing?
I don't know if it's a steroids thing
because it's not retired.
I don't know if it's a steroids thing or if it's like a Red Sox Yankees thing.
Oh, that's stupid.
I don't know what it is, but
that's
like,
silly.
Guys, let's just retire. Like, I mean,
hang it up or don't.
I mean, I think hang it up. Like, he is,
yeah, bro, of course,
an incredible pitcher who did like incredible things when he was a Red Sox. Like 20 strikeout games. Like, those were his.
But also,
Boston
isn't
years.
Wade Boggs' jersey retired?
Yes.
So what the fuck?
Right, and he actually wore his Yankee ratings.
Yeah, I think
at least according to the Section 10 guys. I don't know.
I think it's a steroids thing.
Maybe, but I don't know.
That's dumb,
just
dude.
retire Clemens' number or give it to Buehler. I don't know.
Stupid.
Zero does look sick. I'm not gonna knock Zero.
Yeah, we have 0 and 00.
Ottavino's not making the 40.
Yeah.
He's, all right. Anyway, next pitcher, Tanner Houck, who
such an
the
interesting
world
player
last year.
Yeah,
was really good.
Such an interesting player. He was like talked about in the Cy Young conversation briefly.
He was an all-star.
Yeah, he fell off a little bit at the end, but he's like the righty Chris Sale. He just reminds me of Chris Sale a lot. He throws a big sweeping slider, hard fastball. I think that's his main pitch mix. He's kind of a 2-pitch guy. I think he has a changeup that I don't see him use very often.
He got really tired last season. He threw a ton of innings for him. Like, he was 178.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to see if he has like worked on his stamina this year.
Yeah.
But I would also like to see his strikeout numbers get a little higher, just because he
should be a fastball slider pitcher should be a strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, he's striking out guys at a rate of like per 9 inning. 7.8 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah, it's too low.
That's gotta, I think, come up. His walk rate is also pretty high for that. It's 2.4.
Yeah.
And I just think like you kind of adjust those two things. Maybe like throw the cutter more.
Yeah.
But
it's a cutter. That's what I was thinking. It's not a changeup.
Well, he's got a cutter, but he also has a splitter, a sinker, and a sweeper.
Yeah.
A sweeper is dumb. That's just a slider.
I know. It's silly.
But I mean, all that said, like, he's still incredible. He was still like, I think he is a great number 2 in a rotation, and he's going to be our number 3 probably.
Yeah.
Carter Crawford,
who's injured,
but who. My one note for this guy is simple. It's you got to figure out how to not give up home runs.
Oh my god,
you got to figure that out.
So many bombs. Yeah,
he gave up I think like 12 in 3 appearances.
He gives up a lot of home runs. I do like him again though. I
think he's got a lot of really good stuff.
He's another one who has a pretty decent pitch mix too.
I'm like looking at Baseball Savant right now, and he's got a 4-seam, a cutter, a sweeper, a splitter, and a curve.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw the curve a lot.
It's a lot of fastball variations, though.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, what is he giving up, like, home run? Like, which of pitches are getting home runs?
Probably a fastball.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who throw cut fastballs and sinkers and stuff, they're it's kind of changed now, but usually their 4-seam fastball isn't super hot. And especially now, if you're throwing like 93 to 95, that's like batting practice, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
There's got to be a way to figure it out, but yeah,
I'll figure it out at some point. But yeah, so I think Crawford's big thing is like he's just got to not give up the long ball.
I agree.
And then Brian Bayo.
He's so interesting.
I think he's got a high ceiling.
He has the best stuff out of anyone on our rotation.
I think could be. I mean, people compare him to Pedro all the time. He
That's
does
a little aggressive, but yeah,
it's a little. But he does also work with Pedro in the
yeah,
offseason.
he does. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think like it's generous because Pedro's like a generational talent.
Yeah,
but I mean, Bayo, he had a really bad first half.
Yeah,
and then he had a really rock solid second half.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think if he had pitched like that, I mean, his ERA going into the All-Star break last year was in like the high fives.
It was in the fives. Yeah, I remember that.
And he got it down to 449.
Yeah.
So like he really dialed in.
He's also super young too.
He's super young.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about his future because we've locked him down long term.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, it was premature, but whatever. Like we've done it. I think he just has to work. Like, again, the thing is like looking at his numbers. You know, his walk rate is a little high.
Yeah.
His strikeout rate is great. The thing is, like, he gives up like 8.7 hits per 9. And so just like I wonder how much of that is like defense not backing him up in those years or what. But I'm wondering what his pitch mix is. But he's a guy who I think
he's another change. I remember the change up was a big deal. They were really working on that with him. Yeah.
But then I think that's why he struggled and he wanted to go back to the fastball. Which I think did work for him.
Yeah.
He has a sinker, slider, changeup, and a four seam. And the four seam was 5% of his throws last year.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, all of his pitches, his sinker.
He doesn't have a curveball, huh?
Yeah. No, it's kind of wild. The data that baseball accumulates is just remarkable.
Yeah.
Because they give you the average miles per hour per pitch, and basically his sinker and his four seamer both like average out at like 96 miles an hour, and then that changeup comes in at 88.
Wow.
But yeah, wow. I mean, I think that if he can, I actually don't know what like Bayo can kind of do differently. I just hope he does kind of is able to take the next step like Houck did. If he can take that step like,
but he's young, so I would expect it's going to happen. But he's you know. If he eats innings and gives us a couple quality starts, then great.
Yeah. And then our last starter is a guy who hasn't thrown since 2023.
Giolito.
Lucas Giolito.
Really have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
No clue.
Me neither.
The Section 10 guys said this is interesting. Like, he was slated to be the opening day starter last year.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. Because now he's in the bottom.
He's
of
like
rotation,
number 6. Yeah.
I mean, 2023 is I think such an interesting year because it's like right before he got injured, he got passed around like a bong.
Yeah.
To like 3 teams. I think White Sox.
I think he literally
Angels,
had 3 teams in one.
Guardians. Year. I think he's had a lot of time, hopefully, to work with our pitching development team and like a lot of time to rest and hopefully heal from injury. I'm curious to see like if his pitch mix has changed in the 2 years.
Yeah.
Because he had like fastball, changeup, slider, curve.
Sure.
I'm just kind of curious like what he does with that. But I don't know. I think if he kind of shows up because his 2022 year, what's his last like good year? So I forgot he started with the Nationals. Holy crap.
Yeah. Bro, he was like a hot Nationals prospect. I remember people.
That's funny. Yeah. So his last I guess 2021 was his last year where he had a sub-4 ERA.
Yeah.
And before that he had like a really good run of like 200. Yeah, he had 200 strikeouts in 2021 and 228 in 2019. I mean, I don't know if that guy is still in there, but like if
even if a third of that guy's like, again, it's like when you're talking about 5 and 6 in the rotation, it's innings being eaten.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of like the 13 roster when we had who's the guy we brought over from the Cubs, Ryan Dempster.
Yeah.
Like that guy just ate up a ton of innings and like struck a few guys out here and there. Like that's what you need.
I mean, the thing that's interesting is like you look at Giolito in 2023 when he was on all those different teams, 4.88 ERA, not good. but he threw 184 innings.
Yeah.
And he struck out 204 guys. So it's like, I mean, you have to wonder like what the other factors are in there that generate runs, but it's definitely like there are definitely pieces in there where you're like, oh, he actually like he does do the thing that the Red Sox are looking for in their pitchers, which is to strike guys out. So
Hell yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see how he does.
Yeah, I mean, again, like back half of what you need to win. Like the Dodgers are ridiculous, right? Because they have like tons of starters. Like most teams that win World Series have two really good starters, 2 solid starters, and then 1 or 2 guys that eat up a lot of innings.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Maybe he has that guy in him where he's striking out 220 people or whatever. But like to me, I'm like, can you win us 10 games and eat up a bunch of innings and give us a few quality starts? That's what I'm looking for.
And we do have like other starters just in depth, and we'll talk about those next week.
The next one, yeah.
You know, Richard Fitz, Quinn Priester, Cooper Criswell, even like guys who can
come in and eat innings.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, we're starting from a position of strength, and I feel good about
it's exciting.
All of that.
It's exciting for sure.
So, that's kind of all we have for today.
Cool.
As always, you can find our podcast on Substack, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We'll have some social medias up soon.
Yes.
And we'll let you guys know about that as soon as they're happening. Yeah. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Peace.